Okay. So the agenda for today is to explore some ideas for student engagement and to look at some things that are highly effective strategies that we already do in the classroom, to make time for Q&A. And then I always end up with a bonus bits and bytes for you to take back and maybe use for either PD or newsletters, or just something kind of fun at the end. So we'll save some time at the end for that. So the first thing I would like you guys to do is, if you have a Google Doc opened, or you have a piece of scratch paper laying around, or you could just think your thoughts in your head if you want to, but take a look at this little graphic. You'll probably recognize it, right? It's a tried and true practice that we use for vocabulary strategies. It's a Freyer model, but the topic is going to be, how do you feel about AI in education, right? So instead of words in the middle, we're going to have this concept of AI and EDU, and jot a couple of adjectives to describe your thoughts in the upper left-hand corner. Is it a force for positive change in the world, or is it the end of education as we know it? Or if you're a little bit less prone to hyperbole, are you someplace in between? And then over in the right-hand square, maybe flesh your thoughts out a little bit, add some facts, describe the characteristics, kind of where did you, where do you land on your thoughts on AI in education. And then if I were doing this in my science classroom, down in the bottom two corners on the left-hand side with give me some examples, sometimes I would have kids actually write examples, but in science a lot, we would do drawings, right? So, you could draw your thoughts in that bottom left-hand corner, and then on the right-hand side with non-examples, kind of the same thing. You could say, well, my feelings on AI in education are this way, and the opposite side would be, this is what it could look like. So you could either put your non-examples there, or you could do drawings. Okay, so I'm going to give you a sec to think about that. And believe me, this is going somewhere, this little kind of engage activity that we're doing. And while we're talking about that, so there's my little drawing icon to remind me to talk about drawing. So what we're going to do with those thoughts, with your thoughts about AI in education, is jump over to the Summer of AI Padlet. Okay, so let me open up that link here. So if you open up that Padlet, do you actually see it? You should see it on your side. It might be being blocked on my side due to the Wi-Fi in my building. I did not check this link before I got in here, but if you give me 1 sec, I am going to hotspot my phone because I want to be able to see what you're saying. So this was planned so that I could give you wait time to think your thoughts about AI in education.
What else is in here?
Okay. And am I stop sharing, and I'm going to reshare, and I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to refresh.
Hey, Stacy, it is working for me. Somebody else said it's not working at home, so I just dropped the link straight from Padlet. So
Okay.
if whoever is not working for might try that one. You're probably blocked from the school domain, I would imagine. A lot of things are
Might be
blocked
that
there.
I'm blocked.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
so the
might be
link that
what's
I just
going
dropped
on.
in the chat is working for others. Stacy, do you want me to share my screen for a second?
That would be great.
Okay, I'll just share for a second till you're through with the Padlet.
Okay. That
Do we
sounds
see it
great.
I'm
now?
not
Thank you
getting
very
the chat
much.
at all, so I'm left with like nothing. I can't access anything because I can't get into the chat.
Okay, who is speaking?
Lisa.
Okay, so you're not seeing the chat at all, Lisa?
No, it keeps telling me to like create a chat or add a chat or put in the name of somebody, but nothing in the chat area is working at all.
Okay, weird. Let's see, we have a short link for the presentation today that would be probably easy enough to type from us just saying it. So if I can just give you that, if you're prepared to put it in real quickly. It is just go.ncdpi.gov/engagement with AI, all lowercase. And if you get the presentation, you can get to everything else from there, right, Stacy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You should be able to. And I have the Padlet up on my other screen, so I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen. So I think that kind of
Okay.
little
Lisa,
interlude
did you?
fixed us up.
Okay. I'll stop sharing, but Lisa, there's the link if you didn't get it yet. But I'm gonna stop sharing, let Stacy take back over.
Did that work out, Lisa? Okay, great. Sorry about that, you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna reshare my screen. And I'm gonna go back over here. So here we are with our thoughts on AI in education, our little Freyer model. And I'm going to jump over here to the AI Padlet and give me a shout out in the chat if you guys are in the Summer of AI Padlet. You know, yes, if you are, no, if you're not. And if you're not, we can drop the link to the Padlet into the chat. We have a bunch of yeses, so that looks good. Okay. Okay, we have one no. So let's jump over and I'm going to grab the link directly to this Padlet. Okay, so try that. Hopefully that will get you right there. Okay, so the next level for this is to go to this first column right here where it says intro activity. What are your thoughts on AI for education? And if everybody would, no, 404 message. What in the world?
I'm not sure what's going on with the Padlet, Stacy. It's working for
Okay.
me, but maybe we just gonna have to skip it to get through
Okay.
your content, or just
All
for
right,
those who
I'm gonna-
can't access it, just watch.
Okay, I'll just demonstrate. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So let's learn how to do this and then we'll fix the Padlet situation next. So if you get into a Padlet, you can click this plus sign and it will open up a blank Padlet. And one of the newer things that Padlet has added lately is the ability to create AI generated images. So they've added a lot of new features, especially this summer. They've had a few other new things roll out. So what I'd like you guys to do is to take your thoughts from your Freyer model and create a post that is thoughts on AI in EDU. And you've got a bunch of choices right here on the screen. But what you need to do is to click this plus sign. On some screens, it'll say plus and a number. On other screens, it might say there might be a couple of dots. But click this plus and you're going to see a choice called I can't draw. Okay, so click I can't draw and it'll bring up a context window to prompt AI to create an image. And in this image, In this context box, you're going to notice here's an example, and here's an example drawing or image, and then an example prompt. And what I really like about this prompt is that when you look at it really closely, every word that they put in this prompt is really intentional. So it says an expressive oil painting. So they chose their adjective on purpose. Oil painting is the style. So they chose, you could choose watercolor, you could choose it's storybook realism. You could, if you wanted it to be kind of in the style of like a Disney cartoon. You can't say Disney because that's copyrighted, but it's storybook realism would be the style. And then it says basketball player, so that's what they're having it draw. Basketball player dunking as depicted as an explosion of a nebula. So they chose the explosion of a nebula to be that background picture to just to depict the energy of the picture, right? And all of that AI combined to create this photo. So if you are creating a picture to depict your thoughts and feelings about AI in education, what would your prompt be to AI? So go ahead and experiment with that. And so you would write your prompt up here in the box and then click enter, and it's going to create an image for you. If you like the image, then go ahead and post it into, and it'll pop itself into that first column, and add some words down below that kind of describe what prompt you used so that we can see a little bit about how you created your prompt. And if you want to say a little bit about whether or not AI kind of got close to creating your thoughts and feelings or what you kind of had in your head. Okay, so I am going to close out of that and go over here and click refresh and give you guys a second to see if you can create that prompt. So again, just as far as the kind of the process goes, you're clicking this plus sign, it's opening up a new post. You click on this little plus 12 over here in the corner and look for I can't draw. And I can't draw will open up that AI generated image location inside Padlet. And you can see that people are coming up with some pretty creative ideas for expressing their thoughts about AI in education. So this first one has a really cool picture of a person with all of these magical looking things coming out of their head. And it reads, my prompt was a person's head exploding, which creates a whole new world. I feel like comprehending all that AI has to offer is mind-blowing, but the possibilities for education open up a whole new world for our students. So that's a pretty cool prompt and a pretty cool idea. So while you guys are doing that, I'm going to go forward to some of the questions that I had. There's the process here. So if you need to go back to kind of how did we get there, you've got those steps there on the screen to reference back to. And one of the things that I want you to just kind of think about is how these things could be taken and used and applied in the classroom. We've got a Freyer model that is a tried and true, highly effective strategy in the classroom. You use that Freyer model with those high impact words, a cross-curricular strategy, and you would still have students think their thoughts first. It's one of my kind of new favorite phrases to talk about is this idea that we don't automatically go straight to AI all the time. We're really worried a lot of times about AI just kind of taking over that critical thinking step and that little bit of that, sort of that friction that we want to have in learning where kids have to struggle a little bit with a concept, and it's kind of productive struggle that causes learning to stick. So have kids work with the concept a little bit first. So maybe that's a Freyer model, maybe it's a graphic organizer of some kind. So they put those words down in some kind of way first, and then they take it over to AI and take it to that next level, right? And you could do that with all kinds of reflective tools or high impact tools like a Freyer model or a graphic organizer. So I want to play this video for you real quick and give you some more thoughts on engagement from John Spencer. He's one of my favorite people to follow in terms of student-centered learning.
We often talk about what it means to move from compliance to engagement. It's the idea of creating an environment where students want to learn rather than have to learn. But if we want students to be creative, self-directed learners, we need to move beyond student engagement and into empowerment. But this requires some paradigm shifts. That's right, we are going to be talking shift. Here's what I mean. The empowered classroom is a shift from giving choices to inspiring possibilities. It's a shift from making the subject interesting into tapping into the student interest. When you go from saying, you must learn this, to asking, what do you want to learn? It's a shift from taking assessments to assessing your own learning, an iterative process full of mistakes that ultimately lead to success. It's a shift from the teacher asking all the questions to the students asking their own questions, where they chase the inquiry process and take learning off-road. It's a shift from uncritical consuming to critical consuming and creating. Here, students move from critical consuming to inspiration to creativity, where they use the design process to launch their work to the world. It's a shift from differentiating instruction to personalizing learning. And it's a shift from rigid to adjustable systems so that students own the process. They can set their own pace, choose their own formats, and decide what resources they want to use to accomplish their goals. It's a shift in mindset from compliance to self-direction. In other words, it's a shift towards student ownership. And when that happens, our students become the creative, critical thinkers who change the world.
So I really wanted to share some of those ideas from John Spencer with you, and this whole thing of AI being used as that tool that takes our content and elevates it to that next level, that empowers students to take what we want them to learn and those really important concepts and skills and information that they literally have at their fingertips now, and they have had for a long time. We've had access to Google and all of those searchable pieces of information, but now we can empower them to do so much more with it. So the next thing I want to share with you is a project that can be done all together, or you can kind of pick bits and pieces out of it and kind of deconstruct it to use these tools in lots of different ways. And so it's creating, animating, and bringing book characters, historical figures, plant cells, animal cells, almost anything, bringing them to life with some of these tools. So this is an AI generated image again. So I've kind of put the notification down there. I didn't save the exact prompt that I used in Canva Magic Media, so I don't have the prompt language down there, but it was created inside Canva using their Magic Media generator. So the first thing to do is to brainstorm the characters' traits, the historical figures' traits, or if I was using this in science class, whatever the item is that we were kind of brainstorming about. So if you go to slide 10 and click on this link, it should open up a forced copy of a document. So I'm going to cross my fingers that this works for everybody. And open that up. And this has all kinds of information in it. So I originally called this Casting the Protean Charm to Unite AI, Literacy, and Learning, because we were doing it all around the Harry Potter characters. And so the first step is to brainstorm. So you can change this document up to kind of fit whatever you wanted it to fit. So you would brainstorm the traits, the abilities, just all of the information that would go along with whatever the topic was that you were doing. So again, think your thoughts first, right? Get those things down on paper. Maybe you're having the kids do it on a big poster and doing it together in groups, however you want to have your students do this. So there's a lot of information related to doing that. Then bringing it down here to the next step. So you have step 3 is to create the character. It could be a historical figure. Maybe it's we did this with science teachers. So we were doing plant and animal cells. So you bring that to life, either analog on a piece of paper, or you could do it in AI. So you have 2 choices there. So you have your analog choice, but then you also have your digital choice. So if you scroll down on your sheet to 3B, the AI choice, and click on this prompt template, that's going to open up another template for you that will open up into your Canva account. So if you're a Canva person, you should have this purple link right here, and that will fling this template into your Canva account, so you'll have it forever. And what I really like about this is that it has a lot of examples of ways to kind of get kids started, or people started, on creating prompts or creating images in Canva using the Magic Media image generator. Because a lot of times it's a little
Stacy, I think we lost sound. Are you frozen?
I can see people moving.
Okay, now I hear your voice, but you seem to be frozen. So maybe turn your camera off. It might stay okay.
Okay,
Now are you
I'll do that.
okay, now I hear you. Now I hear you.
Okay, great. I'll turn my camera off. So you have this image, this Canva template, and you would teach the kids how to create a prompt or to create their character. The most important part in creating their characters is that the character has arms and legs. So you want to think of it like a marionette. So you're going to be animating it, and you'll notice with this robot that I've created here, it has arms, it has legs, and the key to getting Magic Media to put legs on a character is to give it shoes. So just add shoes to something. Most of the time, it will put the shoes on the character's legs. Also have it facing forward. So it's hard to animate something that's kind of facing sideways. So put something in the prompt about making it face forward. So use that to get the kids to create their prompt, to create their character. And then the next step is to download the character and go over to a tool called Sketch Meta Demo Lab. Now, the one thing that I would caution about this tool is that you need to take a look at the privacy and terms of safety, terms of service policies to make sure that they're friendly to your district. In my case, I would upload the characters to Sketch Meta Demo Lab for students. So you definitely need to take a look at it. But once you've checked that out, you would go over to Sketch Meta Demo Lab and click Get Started. I'm going to click Accept here. Click Get Started, click Upload, and you'll notice that you can use either the downloaded digital photos, or it is super friendly to drawings. So this is a drawing that I created with some kids one day. They were kind of getting bored and needed something to do. So the kids created this little drawing. You click next and it scans it. You click agree and it scans it. It uploads it. You can use these tools to make sure that it detects all the arms and legs. I'm going to click buy that for right now because I want to save a little bit of time. In that time, animation. And it'll take just a second to let it do that. And in this case, its legs didn't show up very well, but I did this at home a little while ago, and it turns out looking like well, there we go. And there are a bunch of little animations that you can do with that. I learned this when I went to FETC from these two ladies. They're super creative with it. And there were a lot of different things that you can create with this. You can put it into Canva and create a series of these little animations and create a story. You can do the phases of mitosis and have the chromosomes actually animate themselves and move around the cell. You can do simple machines and have the simple machines doing various things related to the standards. So there are a lot of really cool things that you can do using SketchMeta Demo Lab and some just either the analog version or the AI image generation version. Okay, so in the interest of time, I'm going to just ask you to kind of multitask and go over into the Padlet and add your thoughts about maybe how you could see using some of this in your classroom. But I want to show you a couple of more things before we run out of time. So the next one is another tried and true, highly effective strategy that we use for reflection all the time called I used to think, now I think. And there's a link here to thinking routines. I've got a Wakelet that has Project Zero, and a lot of other things that where you can get great examples of the analog versions of great thinking routines. But another thing that you could do with that is to put these thinking routines into a personalized chatbot using School AI or Magic School's custom chatbots. So an example, if you want to experience it from the student point of view, is linked here on slide 17. So if you click on that, it will open up into a window that gives you a chance to experience it from the student point of view. So if you're not familiar with School AI, students don't have to sign in. You just give them the code. It's kind of like joining a Kahoot. So you give them a code or give them a link and they enter their name. In middle school, I would tell the kids to enter their actual name, not some kind of a goofy name. Behind the scenes in School AI, you can see a complete dashboard of everything that the students are doing, a little headline or a sentiment meter that says whether or not they're doing well, if they're going a little bit off task, and you can see a complete history of their entire chat. And then once they join, this is the screen that they see. And you'll be able to see the text, but it'll also read it aloud. And we found it to be really, really responsive as far as reading aloud. And you can interact with that thinking routine on the screen as instead of doing it on paper. And we found it to be a pretty cool thinking routine. So before I go on to the next one, are there any questions? So let me jump over to School AI and show you a little bit about that. And if you want to interact with it, so if you're in School AI and you go to Spaces, you'll see a list of everything that you've already created. And I'm going to jump over to the one that I created that is I used to think, now I think. And it looks like a caterpillar. So you can see I've created a bunch of them. So when you click on that one, it'll open up a complete history of everybody who's interacted with it. So if I had this set up in a classroom, I'd have one for, first period, second period class, but I've just kind of kept a running list of it for, just forever. So you can see it gives you a little smiley face or a sad face and a little headline about how the student has interacted. And then if you click on it, you can see a complete history of how the person about how the student has interacted and what their chat has been all about. When you close the chat or when you close the space, it gives you the option to download it so you can have a complete history of it. So you have a lot of controls behind the scenes, as well as being able to monitor the students. And if you go over to the Padlet of the thinking routines from either Project Zero or any of the other, kind of things that you use as reflections in class, you can take those analog versions and go over to School AI or to Magic School's custom chatbot and create your own version of them that is customized and personalized to your individual students, and then deliver that version to them as well. So you could kind of have a paper version and the AI version, so the kids would have choices. So before I move on from that one, are there any questions about that? Okay, one more thing before I move on from I used to think now I think. Behind the scenes in School AI, when you look at the teacher side of it for launching it to students, you can see there's a launch button. So that's where you get your codes, right? So you click that and it'll launch it with a code or a QR code. So that's super simple. And then when you, to actually create it, you can get a link from another teacher, if they've shared it with you, and you can click the little pencil and open up the behind the scenes kind of screen, the creation screen, and look at the way the AI prompt is written. So inside there, this is the prompt that tells School AI what to do. And so if it's behaving perfectly well and you just want to keep it that way, then you would just click save and launch. But if you wanted to customize it a little bit and make it individual to your particular classroom, or to add some things in to personalize it for yourself, then you could customize this prompt and then save it and make it your own. So the only two things that you really need to do to create a School AI space is give it a title and write the prompt, click generate all fields, and poof, you're done. Okay, so I'm going to go on to one more thing. The next thing I wanted to show you is all the things you can do in Magic School, which with existing lessons, and then to add a little bit of AI engagement and critical thinking on the other side. So I've set up a Wednesday webinar room for us to play around in a little bit. So we are on slide 18 in the slide deck. So jump into the Wednesday webinar room. You can get in there two ways. So this is from the student side, and we can also look at the teacher side as well. So if you jump into the Wednesday webinar room, click on that. That'll get you over there. And again, it's very similar to School AI, to a Kahoot. You would sign in with your name, or you would enter the room with your name, and that gets you in. And Magic School always gives students a little piece of information that talks about using AI responsibly. To be honest, most kids are just going to click right through that. But initially, when you're first rolling out AI to your students, there's a whole lesson that you can find on the School AI website about teaching students how to use AI before you initially allow them to get into any of these School AI or Magic School spaces or Magic School rooms, so that you've taught them what generative AI is and how to use it responsibly. So when they see that screen, it's like a little reminder that you've already taught them about AI before you're putting them into AI. So we click acknowledge, and then these are the tools that I've set up in this custom room for our Wednesday webinar. So on the Magic School student side, there are over 40 tools that you could give students access to, but I've just kind of pared it down to these ones so we can take a look at it today. So we've got, yeah, and Vera's put into the chat that it is so important for students and everyone to learn about AI before they learn with AI. So, and that message we're trying is so important to get out to teachers and staff and leadership within your buildings and everywhere is that initial set of lessons, whether it's on the Magic School website or something that you create from scratch, is really important to roll out with to give to your students before you just kind of put them into any of these tools. So there are a lot of resources out there that you can gather before you start giving kids access to some of these tools. So in this magic school room, you've got a bunch of these tools that I feel like are really, really engaging for kids. So the first one, and feel free to explore around, but I want to point out a couple of them to begin. One here in the top right hand corner is 5 questions, and it reminds me a little bit of kind of being a toddler, but it's also an actual routine based on an actual routine called the 5 whys, right? So if you click on this, so it says, get AI to ask 5 questions to push your creativity and deepen your thinking on a topic. So the example that I want to talk to you about here is I was working with talking to an instructional coach and digital learning coach in Buncombe County Schools. And she was talking about a project that she did with her teachers to teach English idioms. And they had been teaching this for years and it had been going really, really well. It sounded like an amazing project. So the kids all got a different idiom, they learned about it, and then ultimately they created illustrations and drawings and some kind of artwork about it. So they decided this year to add an AI spin to it. And one of the things that they did was they worked with an AI chatbot. Some of the students worked with an AI chatbot to have it ask them questions about their drawing that they ultimately were going to create based on their idiom. And the kids that worked with this AI chatbot ended up creating drawings that were much more detailed, much more creative than kids had in the past, because this personalized chatbot just asked them questions. So if the idiom was about raining cats and dogs, then the chatbot would say, so what kind of dog are you going to create? And if they said, well, maybe it's going to be golden retrievers and puppies. Well, how many puppies? What kind of golden retriever? Where are they going to be? It just asked them questions. So in the case of being able to use the AI to act like this questioner, of just asking 5 questions, continuing to just push and probe and get the kids to think of things that maybe they just wouldn't have thought of on their own. And part of our conversation was that every teacher would like to sit down next to their students, so all 30 some kids every single class period, and have those kinds of conversations. But we just don't have the time. So these personalized chatbots, access to having 5 questions, just sitting there in your magic school room, gives the kids the empowerment to be able to just say, you know what? I need a thought partner on this. I need something to just ask me questions and get me to think a little bit more about whatever the topic is. So you could have this sitting in your magic school room to give kids access to the 5 question bot. The next one is a character chatbot, and similar to some of the other things that we've seen, you can create a character chatbot that is based on any character that would go along with your content or your curriculum in School AI, or pardon me, in Magic School. The next one I wanted to show you in here is social stories. So I picked this one out, and a lot of times we think about social stories in terms of counseling and maybe in kids who need some help with, getting ready for something that's going to be coming up in their life. Maybe they're going on a field trip and they are kids that kind of need to be prepared for something in advance, and you might create a social story about that. So I really like this for, that kind of a tool, right? So you can use the social stories bot for that. The other thing that I was thinking about for social stories is what if kids needed to use this for empathizing with characters, with situations, with historical figures, with a period in time, with others in their classrooms, in middle school and academic academy. In high school, we have Tiger Time at the high school that I used to support. So empathy is one of those one of those higher order thinking skills that is at the one of the highest level thinking skills that we have. So social stories could be one of those tools that we start using with kids to push their thinking towards those higher levels of thinking and creating connections with others in their immediate surroundings, but then with others outside the classroom and outside in the community. Okay, so I want to pause really quickly here for just a second because I've been doing a lot of talking and I want to check on the chat really quickly and make sure that I haven't missed anything, and also go over here to the Padlet and give you guys a chance to, my Padlet check-in column is awfully blank. So if you guys have some ideas or have some ways that you think some of these tools could be used in your classroom, and I would love to have you add them to the Padlet. The chat is great because we see it in real time, but this Summer of AI Padlet is basically going to live forever. So if you put your ideas over here, we'll get to see them, but others who pop in here over the rest of the series of the webinars will also get to see them, and we'll have captured some of your great ideas for others to see. So highly encourage if you see some of these tools that you think would be useful to you to add a post into the Padlet, especially in this column. So just click that plus and add something over there. I feel like I'm on a YouTube channel saying, like and subscribe, click that bell. Anyways, so I'm going to go back over here to my magic school room and point out one more thing that I wanted to talk about, which just showed up in my account literally yesterday. I'm going to check on my time. So, and it is the Magic School image generator. How many of you guys have had access or have heard about the image generator in Magic School? Anybody? Nope. Okay, so I had seen it on social media and had not had access to it and was just kind of waiting for it to show up in my account. And I was, getting things organized for this last night and clicked on Magic School and there it was. So I was pretty excited about it. So I'm going to click back real quick. So the tool is looks like this. And if you recognize this little A, that is the Adobe A. So it's connected to Adobe. And the good thing about that is that Adobe is one of those tools that has been around for a really long time, very trusted. It's free for educators, and they are partnering with Magic School. So when you click on that, now again, this is on the student side, you'll be, students would be taken to this screen, and you have a couple of options. First is it's a set up like a lot of image generators are, where you can click on text to image, and students will be to a screen that is actually connected inside the Adobe platform, where they can create, use their image to create an text to image prompt. So if you got a project similar to the one that we talked to before, where we were creating Canva, all of those skills would apply inside Magic School's student platform using this text to image generator. You could do the exact same thing in here. The added benefit would be is that you would have access to all of the teacher dashboard tools, that you would be able to see what the students were doing and would be able to kind of control the use a little bit. So you have all of that going on in here. So I am in my DPI account, so that's behaving a little bit unusually. The other thing that I really like about the image creator is that you can upload an image. So you can click on this and you can go over to your pictures. And if students have pictures on their hard drive or on their Chromebook, they can upload a picture and then use that to create inside Magic School's student image creator. So it's a really cool tool. So the last thing I want to show you over here is on the teacher side of things in Magic School is how you deliver those tools to students so that they have access to them. Right now, Magic School's student side is available for free. So putting that caveat in that is right now. We have we're a Magic School, Catawba County Schools is a Magic School partner, so I have this up here, but I tried it out on my non-free side, and it's still free, and I've been kind of keeping tabs on that to know what's free and what's not free. So you would see the Launch to Students button if you were in your Magic School account, and you would click Magic Student, and you would see all of these tools over here that you can give to your students. And one of them, these are all the ones that I've kind of highlighted that we're using right now for the Wednesday webinar. So if I wanted to say Launch to Student, I would click that and you could create a room, right? And you can add as many or as few of these tools to your Magic Student room. So I would click Launch a New Room. And you can customize the name of the room to be whatever you wanted to. So I'm just going to create a test room for right now, and you can give it whatever grade level, and the maximum number of students is 250. So you do that, and then you get to the screen where you can see all of the different tools that you can give to students. So if I just wanted to give, say, the writing feedback generator to students, I could say that you can add them and subtract them, customize them. And then it's as easy as that. And then you click launch and it gives you the join information and the join code, the URL can be added to any LMS and close that out real quick. So I want to give a pause really quickly and check and see if there are any questions about Magic School Student before I go on to the last thing. Okie doke. And I see a comment in the chat. I love that you're working with your librarian, especially on AI image generation. That's a really important topic, especially with, on the creative side, it's really awesome. But then also on the AI literacy side, also really important to know how to discern between what's real and what's not, what's fake. So really good comment. Okay. So we have a couple more minutes. So I want to go on to the next thing. I have this little wrap up here about this concept of the 3-box solution. I first heard about this from Dan Fitzpatrick in his book, The AI Classroom. And he talks about this idea, it really comes from the business world, about the 3 boxes. And box 1 is everything we do right now to kind of manage the present. So if you were in the business world, right, it's everything that you do to, basically do what you do. If you're, Nike, you're making shoes. If you're, so in education, it's everything that we're doing right now to, keep the kids are coming every single year. So we have to keep doing what we do to keep things rolling around. And just because education is changing and AI has happened, doesn't mean that we just drop everything and switch on a dime, right? And then box 3, I'm going to skip over box 2 for just a second. Box 3 is the future. It's where we're trying to get to, because we know our students are, they are going to spend their lives living in this AI-infused world where things are going to be amazingly different, right? So while we're continuing to kind of keep the wheels rolling and keep everything going the way we need to, we have to think about where we're going to end up and what the future holds for our students. So that brings up this idea of box 2 and figuring out how we can selectively let go of the past. So if we were kind of rethinking these boxes in the language of education, I think if we were talking to somebody like Peter DeWitt, he would call box 2 de-implementation. And if you were just talking to a regular teacher in a building, we would say, you got to take something off our plate, right? We can't just, jump into box 3 until you get some stuff off my box 1 plate, right? So a lot of what these tools like Magic School and Diffit and Brisk and all of these really cool AI tools are doing right now is focusing on
Yeah, we're gonna get
making our
Magic
box
School.
1 plate
Remember
a
that,
little
Magic
bit
School.
easier and a little
Just
bit
another
faster.
thing, but it sounds fun.
Right? So we're able to be a little bit faster, make our workflow and efficiency faster. So with that extra time that we're hopefully going to save with some of these AI tools, then what are we going to do with that time? And what I'm hoping is that we use that to throw some things into box 2 and rethink the way we teach kids, right? So with all of that being said, I want to kind of wrap it up and give you a little bit of a bonus. My bonus piece of information here is from our AI Bits and Bytes. We shared this in our AI Playground at the end of the year last year, is from the Google Labs. It's called ImageFX, so kind of goes into our image generation. It's another one of those kind of prompting sites that you can use if you can sign in with your Google. So this is a link straight to the site. This is a link to the template. So if you wanted to get a copy of this and then just kind of customize it for yourself and use it. And what I really like about ImageFX is that it's a really simple site to use, and it kind of helps teach prompting skills, attention to detail, literacy skills, and it's just kind of fun to do as well. So that's kind of the bonus for the end. And if you have been attending these webinars for the last couple of times, you'll notice that I always end with a call to action. And I want to point out that this call to action is a little bit different than the previous ones. So previously we were talking about how can I, the teacher, use AI to improve what I'm doing as an educator. And the other one was how can I work with AI to do this? So those were the first two things we're talking about, education assistance and things like that. So, but we are moving down now to questions 3 and 4. So now it's about students, right? So now how the call to action is, how will my students learn to use AI? How are we going to start teaching students about AI? And then how are we going to start teaching students with AI? So putting the things in the right order, right? Teaching them about it, and then teaching with AI. And then how will our students develop the skills they need to be successful in the world they're going to live in? Because they're going to live in this AI-infused world a lot longer than we are, right? So it's pretty exciting. So this is our leveled up call to action for our student-centered classrooms of the future. And there are lots of tools to get you and resources available to get you started. You don't have to start from scratch. I think one of the other messages that Vera and Digital Teaching and Learning Division and others, partners out there have for you is that there is a lot out there to help you get started. So we have some AI literacy resources for you, a lot of sites that are out there that are developing resources all the time. It changes so fast. So take a look at those in your spare time and know that they're there for you. And really thank you for being here this morning. And we're going to be here for another couple of minutes, but if you have questions, you want to add them to the chat, unmute your mic if you want to chat with us. Vera has dropped the feedback form into the chat, so fill that out and it will shoot you a certificate that you were here. But that's it for now.